Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. My name is Eric Cartman, oh, holy night.
LegacyMaker, the all-sports network, presents a SIRTOBA media production where the struggle is real to be awesome.
5, 4, 3, 2.
The wait is over.
He hasn't even played a full rookie season yet. He just started this year. Why are you going to give this kid a $210 million on paper when he's only been a rookie at 21 years old, okay? Nobody in the history of the game has done that before. Has just showed up, Johnny Go Blank Yourself, has showed up at 21 years old and got $200 and some million and hasn't even played a full rookie season in the majors yet.
Drew, come on, he's an all-star. He made it to the final round of the home run derby. I mean, like, statistically speaking, he is one of the best rookies that has ever stepped foot on a baseball field.
Get your popcorn ready. It's time for the in or out sports debate with your hosts,
Joey Raymond
and Drew Willingham.
Hello, everyone. We are live for episode 65 of the special holiday edition of the In or Out Sports Debate. I am your host, Drew Willingham, along with this week's special returning panelist, a 9-time Vault of Fame inductee, a Virginia Tech alumni, wearing one of the awesomest holiday shirts I've seen in quite some time. Welcome back, my Geek Squad brethren, right here, Joseph Raymond. Welcome back there, Joey.
Hello, Drew. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Welcome back to the show, first of all. And, second of all, how was your holidays, my man?
Dude, it was fantastic. A lot of firsts, got to keep a lot of traditions and start a couple new ones. And it was a really good time, man. That's
awesome. And it started out as well. I got to give you a national congratulations for getting engaged to its fiance now, Katie. They looked up. I saw the video. Definitely was great. She called you a butt face too for taking so long.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah, she did.
So,
She I'm over here sweating bullets, and she just delivers the line of like, "Took you long enough," but I was like, dude,
that was epic. So shout out to Katie for that. That was a great entertainment part of that. I haven't seen anything quite like that before. It's usually like the typical bawling the eyes out or whatever, emotional or whatever, and then saying yes. I mean, that line was epic, and then of course you got the answer that you wanted, that you both wanted to give. Right. So definitely congratulations to you. That's definitely a great holiday. To go right into this show, definitely a lot of great momentum for you there, sir, with that awesome shirt on and a new background as Joey has relocated his studio in his home. So I definitely got to give a shout to that. I like it as a man who has put some work into his as well. Not as much as you have. That took hours to do what you did, but definitely a great setup there. So I got to give you kudos to that.
Yeah, we had to move quick today because we started at like noon, and we knew that this podcast was today. So we were moving quick, but we got it all done. So I'm glad. I gotta give a shout out to the many women in my life that helped make this happen. That being Katie and my mother. They do a great job helping me out.
Especially the mothers, because without the mothers, we wouldn't be created and we would not be here. So definitely shout out to the mothers, as I gave a shout out to my mom last night for the holidays as well. So with that being said, we love our moms. We love this show. And with that being said, we got to acknowledge some things to start this out. Let's go ahead and acknowledge the Vault of Fame.
Acknowledge me.
This is why this show was so important, and this is why I am personally validating and vouching for this show. If you are anybody in media, sports, professional wrestling, anything, you need to be on In or Out Sports Debate with my man Drew Willingham.
And there's the Vault of Fame commemorating the past 63 episodes. Didn't get a chance to update it. With that being said, we'll show the 64 graphic right here for the Ford Wide Edition 2.0 that we had last Tuesday evening with Michael Bish and Cody Stewart, who are now 3-time Vault of Fame inductees on this show. But most importantly, though, we are here for episode 65 with the one and only Joey Raymond. LMS handles are right here for the LegacyMaker Sports Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and the new TikTok channel as well. And you can check out the latest on LegacyMakerSports.com. You can check out the In or Out Sports Debate on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Twitch, as well as the audio platforms here on Apple and Google Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Prime, Anchor.fm, and you can download them individually on iTunes. We are also on SIRTOBA Media as well as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, coming soon to YouTube, and you can check out the latest on SIRTOBA.com. And back, we are here for 65 with my one and only Geek Squad brethren who I have on this show. Joey Raymond is back for the episode 65. My man has got an awesome background, an awesome jacket top on. He is ready for the holidays. Let's go ahead and take this into round one and get this thing started with my guy, Joey.
Round one.
And here, Joey, with round one, a topic we like to stay fresh with because we cover them locally, and that is the Washington Commanders should consider starting quarterback Carson Wentz against the Cleveland Browns this Sunday to help keep their playoff hopes alive. How do you feel about this one? Are you in or are you out on this one?
I'm out.
Joey is out on this one. Very interesting.
So in Washington, they had this massive QB controversy when Carson Wentz came back originally about whether or not you start Taylor Heinicke or not. And here's my thing. Taylor Heinicke has gotten them the wins that they needed. The only game that he has truly struggled in was this past one against the 49ers. And honestly, everybody really has struggled against the 49ers. They are a really, really good team. They currently rank first in pretty much every defensive category, including pass defense. I just don't believe that they need to make a knee-jerk decision and take out Taylor Heinicke, who you said is the future of Washington football. Like, I just don't think that you can take Taylor Heinicke out of the starting spot right now and truly, trust the dynamics of the team if you do it that way. You've made the decision to start Heinicke. I think you have to stick with it. Genuinely, they are in a situation that is tricky because Carson Wentz is a good quarterback. But I do feel like you got to start Taylor Heinicke. I think Carson Wentz needs to go play somewhere else.
If he plays anywhere. But, with that being said, considering how he's been the past couple of years, with this, I agree with Joey. I'm out on this as well. In last week's game against the 49ers, they played, probably the best team in the NFC, if not the league, because even though the Eagles have a better record, the NFC East had a better schedule this year, an easier schedule, which is why they're in the position they're in with all four of those teams potentially making the playoffs as of right now. You have Taylor Heinicke, who was 13 of 18 for 166 yards, 2 touchdowns. He only had one interception in that game. Carson Wentz did come into the second half and was 12 of 16 for 123 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, surprisingly. But Taylor Heinicke has been a big spark to this offense since he came in when Carson Wentz went down with that finger injury or whatnot. Carson Wentz can't stay healthy, over the years, especially over the past 5 years he's been playing. And even the year that the Eagles won a Super Bowl, they had Nick Foles, but I like to call him Nick Foles in there at quarterback to lead them to the Super Bowl. So when you think about everything, you think about their schedule coming up. They have 2 games left to clinch this thing, or at least a playoff spot. They go up against the Browns at home next week on the 1st, on New Year's Day, 1:00 p.m., and then they go against the Cowboys at home on January 8th, the day after my birthday. It's going to be a good Sunday, a good weekend, I hope, for the Commanders. Give me a birthday present as a Commanders fan. Commies, whatever. I'm still getting used to saying the name Commanders because I hate the name. However, that team in Washington will do some things. It just might not be this year. But when you look at the contract situation with Washington, they're paying Carson Wentz a lot of money. He's got a 4-year, $128 million deal. He still has, quite a bit of time and guarantees on that. He's guaranteed $107 million of that 4-year deal. So when you think about everything, and it doesn't expire for another 3 years. He still has 2023, 2024, and 2025. And when in episode 64, Cody and Mike and I were talking about coaches' contracts being in excess of $800 million within coaches that have been fired, and they're still paying them. I got a feeling they're still going to have Carson Wentz next year and Taylor Heineke, and this could be a controversy that leads into the offseason again that we had, throughout this past offseason going into this one. So it's going to be a lot to see what transpires this offseason. They don't need a quarterback as bad as like the Atlanta Falcons do. Washington needs to make some more moves on the offensive line, some more moves on offense in general, especially at tight end. I feel like it's going to be a big spot they're going to have to fill this offseason because they've had some woes there with their tight ends not staying healthy. So with that being said, I feel like Heineke can do good things for this team if he stays consistently the quarterback. He had one bad game, guys, and he's been still the spark that kept this team within striking distance of the 49ers for a little bit. They did run away with the lead in the second half, but at first it wasn't quite that bad with Heineke in. He was getting banged up towards the second half, and they had to make some moves. And I kind of understood why they did it and see what they kind of had going in towards the second half of the game to see if they can come back. Carson Wentz didn't turn the ball over, but you still can't trust him over Heineke, in my opinion.
Well, and I mean, Ron Rivera said it himself that, the reason that he sat Heineke wasn't due to Heineke's performance. It was more due to making sure that Heineke stayed healthy and that, that he was protected. You don't keep your guy out there if the game is at a loss. I mean, if you don't want your guy to get hurt, take him out, sit him on a bench, put in your backup, and hope that you get out of there healthy. That's the best that you can do.
Absolutely. And we'll see what happens over the course of the next 2 weeks, because these are going to be some very impactful games. I mean, the Browns are pretty much out of it, but they're still going to be fighting to see what they have for next year since Deshaun Watson just came back recently. So when you think about all that, you think about, what they have to prove for these last 2 weeks. Cowboys game, always for the last game of the season when there's playoff, hopes involved. Definitely a big game always. So it's going to be important to see how things go over the course of the next 2 weeks. But with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at what we got for the next round. Another thing that Joey and I like to talk about, and there's a little bit of baseball. Let's go ahead and take a look at some MLB stuff.
Round 2.
And here in round 2, something that we might disagree with a little bit. The San Diego Padres free agent acquisition of Xander Bogaerts will go down as this offseason's worst contract signing. How do you feel about this one, Joey? I kind of know how you feel about it, but let's tell the fans.
That's because you got me all worked up and got me put on my soapbox, and here we go again because I'm going to do it again. I am out with all capital letters, out. Okay, I want to throw this out here. Scott Boras is a damn genius. I mean, a damn genius. To be able to get two teams to agree with to a very large contract with one cheating Carlos Correa when he has this massive leg injury that no one really wants to talk about, no one really wants to acknowledge until it's a problem. They sign him, they get him all the way to the final part where they got to pass through a physical, and then now all of a sudden, okay, this is a big issue. It was a big issue for the Giants, and the Giants didn't back out of the deal. Carlos Correa did, to go to the Mets. The Giants did have a lack of communication with him, but they were still in the process of talking to him. And I think the Mets are in a position where they are now renegotiating a deal with Carlos Correa. But I mean, the man continuously gets hurt. He continuously underperforms what his value is. He is getting paid all of this money and is not performing to the value that you would expect to get out of a player that you're paying that much for. Dansby Swanson, the other premier shortstop that was left on the market. played all 162 games and beat Correa statistically in hits, homers, runs, RBIs, and batting average. Beat him in every single one of those categories, and it wasn't even close. He destroyed Carlos Correa in every single one of those categories, and yet he got paid several $100 million less. You're going to sit here and tell me that these teams are going to go out and pay Carlos Correa $300+ million and not live to regret it? I'm sorry, Drew. I mean, Xander Bogaerts is at least a consistent shortstop. He goes out, plays great defense, and whereas I do think that Xander did get overpaid a little bit, in a shortstop market like this one, everybody got overpaid. I mean, just look at the market and how much it's blown up. And I think a lot of that is because of Steve Cohen and the Mets and how he has just been dead determined to spend money. And I love that in an owner. I have gone on record many times and stated that I cannot stand teams like the Oakland Athletics who tank and refuse to spend money to even have a competitive payroll. We should all be competing to win games. But there is, with that, like, it's a double-edged sword because you don't want to be overpaying for guys like Carlos Correa. Carlos Correa is going to go down as not only this year, but this could go down as arguably the worst contract in MLB history.
It's going to be tough to see how things pan out with that, but I've got to disagree with you on this, Joey. I'm actually in on this one. You bring up a lot of great points, Joey, and for that, it was kind of tough to kind of disagree with you on this. The biggest thing is they haven't really finalized the deal yet. That's still kind of, they're hoping to have it done by Christmas, but it's still not 100% finalized. With that being said, I got to go with Xander Bogaerts' 11-year, $280 million deal. And I want to make this abundantly clear. I like Bogaerts. I like what he brings to the clubhouse. I like what he brings to both offensively and defensively as a star shortstop. He makes the Padres a lot better. However, I just think that the contract could have been for much more or less. At one point, the Boston Red Sox offered Bogaerts a 1-year, $30 million contract, which is immediately a no-go. In the days leading up to Bogaerts signing with the San Diego Padres, the Red Sox offered him a 6-year contract with roughly $160 million, which is $120 million less than what the Padres signed him for. Had the Padres split the difference and signed Bogaerts for $220 million, they would have had an additional room for meaningful upgrade other than parts of their roster. They signed Seth Lugo to a 2-year contract and are seriously involved for the bidding war of right-hander Johnny Cueto, sources say. So when you think about that, they're probably not going to be able to add much more to the team that was pretty much World Series bound last year before the whole Fernando Tatis steroids deal. So with that, and I put all that into perspective, until Carlos Correa's contract is finalized, and until we actually see the difference next year and what that makes, I have to give it here. I have to go in with this.
I mean, that's fair, but my biggest thing is that I mean, you say that that doesn't leave a lot of room. I just don't think that there's a lot of players that the Padres truly want out there anymore. Because you think about the Padres made a $400 million offer to Aaron Judge. They made an offer to Trey Turner. They made an offer to literally every marquee free agent out there. I think that the Padres are almost as bad as Steve Cohen and are just willing to spend whatever it takes to win a World Series. They don't care about the luxury tax. They don't care. And they're not going to unless there's a salary cap that says that they literally cannot go over. You know, the thing about baseball right now in the spot that it's in is it doesn't have a salary cap. So there's not a limit on how much you can spend. And there's not a salary floor, which means that there is not a limit of money that you don't have to spend, which is how you get teams like the Athletics who have less than $30 million on their payroll. And then you get guys like, you know, the Mets who are going to pay so much in luxury tax that they are going to eclipse several major league teams in just tax money. Just tax money alone, they are going to have to pay more in tax money than they will several major league teams' entire payrolls. There is such a discrepancy with owners in Major League Baseball right now that until something changes, like, I don't think it matters. If the Padres want players, I think that they're going to pay whatever those players want. And I think that they're willing to do so. It's just a matter of, do they want to go to San Diego, where it's very possible that their playing time is limited? You got to think about all of the players, all of the marquee players that San Diego has right now. If you go out and make an offer to somebody, where in the world are they going to play? Like, they're running into a point where they're running out of positions to give people, which I guess is a good problem to have. But, I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, I mean, you've got to look at baseball from kind of a wide angle lens, because there's not really another way to do it. Baseball money hit different.
No, absolutely right. You're absolutely right with that. I mean, that's why it was tough to disagree with you on that. But for the sake of debate in this show, I had to throw a trick one in there that I knew that you were going to probably disagree with, that I would have had to agree with just for the sake of the show. But for that being said, we've gone through the first two rounds. Let's go ahead and take it in some breaking news. And that breaking news is this Saturday, a very special New Year's Eve edition, 3:05 p.m. Eastern, 2:05 p.m. Central Time. Xander Kid NBA Anthony returns from episode 21 to talk some NBA, a little bit of football. But to get one more episode in before the year ends, we'll have 61 total episodes by the end of this year, and 60 of them were live. So got to give a shout out to Xander Kid NBA Anthony, who we got in just before his 13th birthday. So he was 12 years old, still at this point, the youngest panelist on this show. So shout out to Xander. Thank you for the golden boy, Greg Anthony, the wrestler that's been on here a couple episodes, who allowed his son to be on here, who was interested in talking with me about some sports, and to also go with another episode as well. So welcome back, Xander. Looking forward to this Saturday. So
yeah, that should be fun for everybody, man. That's going to be fun to watch.
Yes, most definitely. So I appreciate you tuning in as well during your off episodes. And speaking of that, we got to get back on. We got to go take this into round 3 and see what we got for this one.
Round 3.
And here with round 3, another topic that Joey knows very well, the Virginia Tech Hokies men's basketball is still more dangerous than ever, despite losing their last game to unranked Boston College. With that being said, Joey, with that statement, do you agree? Are you in or are you out on this one?
I don't know what it is about Mike Young and playing against Boston College, but he's literally 0-4 in his head coaching career against them. I'm going to go in. I genuinely, I don't think I will ever understand how sometimes in sports it just comes out to be one of those things where certain teams just have your number, and they're going to beat you. And there's really not much that you can say about it. I don't know if it's like something where it gets into your head, but like I had that issue when I played sports and everything, where sometimes there's just that one player or that one team where you just do not perform well against. And Mike Young and this Virginia Tech basketball team still has yet to win a game against Boston College. Now, I've watched this team very closely all year round, and they are a really good team. I don't know what happened when they went to Boston College. I don't know if it was, just that they were tired. They looked tired. I don't know if it was that, coming just off of finals week, if that, maybe mentally they were just really drained and really exhausted. But they just did not look like themselves. I mean, Justin Mutz was the leading point scorer in this game, and he only had 18 points. Grant Basile wasn't anywhere to be found. And then Hunter Couture got hurt, and so he's off the court. And so now your 3 main point scorers are gone. And Justin Mutz, who is a great basketball player, who is probably going to play in the NBA, but he's still only a glue guy. He can only do so much to really, push this team to the next level. And so it was really hard to watch just the fallout of that game. I mean, they really just did not perform to the level that they should have. And then for Boston College, Mekhi Ashton Langford put up literally double his average points per game. I mean, he had a career game like no other. He put up 21 points in this game and just had a fabulous game defensively, just looked just lights out and was tearing the Hokies up, making assists, going just nuts. And, to watch this game, I genuinely, I'm going to chalk it up to a fluke thing because I have seen this team play well. And they do tremendously in the paint. They do tremendously from behind the arc. And it's just one of those things where they went out and they laid a goose egg essentially, and they just did not perform to the way that they normally do. So yeah, it was odd to watch. It was an odd feeling the entire game.
It definitely was. It was one of the first off games we've really seen them play this year. And this is going to be back-to-back topics where I disagree with you, man. I'm out. And not for this one to keep it interesting or anything, but to mainly just with the facts of, you lost in the conference game to Boston College, the Atlantic Coast Conference. You lost a conference game, which could come back to bite you at some point. You're still in 5th in the conference. But the biggest thing that you've got ahead of you, Joey, that you got to look at is Wake Forest, another conference game. But I feel like you're going to take that one. The one after that is going to be Clemson. That's going to be a tough one for you guys because of where they're sitting at in the conference right now. NC State after that is not going to be really big that much of a challenge. I feel like you're going to win 2 out of those 3 against Wake Forest and NC State, but I feel like you're going to lose to Clemson. Syracuse, on the other hand, though, when you look at how they're ranked as well, they're below you and they're 1-1 in the conference as well. And I feel like they're going to have something to prove by the time that they play you because the games that they have won have been some meaningful games, and they have been keeping them close in the losses as well. So when you look at the game against Boston College, like you were saying, you guys did have 4 guys that went over double-digit points with Mutz at 18, Basile at 13, Padula at 18, and Maddox at 10. So they were the biggest contributors for that game and getting you as close to being only losing by 5. But when you think about the aspect of the Atlantic Coast Conference and how close these teams have been playing this year, I feel like it's still going to be about another month or so before we can really determine if this team is for real or not. And that's why I don't want to get myself too hyped up about it yet. I don't want to be throwing myself under the bus by saying in. That's why I'm going to keep it even keel and say out at this point. So with that being said, what do you guys say to that, Joey?
I do agree that the schedule is only going to get tougher. And it's going to get to a point where, they are going to struggle a little bit. But if you look at some of the big marquee games that they've won, I mean, they beat Penn State, who is a major Big Ten team, and they went into that tournament and they won a couple, and then they lost to College of Charleston in a true away game, which very well could turn out if they win their division. That College of Charleston could be a Category 1 win. Or Category 1 loss, and it being a true road game that'll help them. Boston College could be the same thing. Boston College has a pretty solid team. I don't think that they'll be Category 1, but maybe Category 2. But regardless, it's still a loss at a true away game. And it's a conference game, which helps. So if they can pull it all together and truly continue to keep going about this season with the record that they have, I think that they could be dangerous. And I think that they are a dangerous team. I just think that it's one of those things where, they had an off day, same thing with Tyler Heineke. Just had it off game.
Yeah, it's one of those things we're just going to have to wait and see how things pan out for that. But before we go into our next round, got some things to acknowledge. Before that, let's go and acknowledge this new show that I've been on. It's on Mondays. Took the day off for the holidays. We'll be back next week. Let's go and take a look at it real quick. That, guys, is the Sports Senseis Unleashed, which you can check out Mondays at 1:05 p.m. Eastern, starting back up next Monday as we took today off for the holidays. The first 2 episodes are available on Snowman Multimedia, SDM Sports Radio Network, as well as the re-syndicated episodes on the LegacyMaker Sports Network. With that being said, let's go ahead and take this into the next segment, which is the Medial Mayhem, where we take a look at the comments from the fans. And they've been lighting it up so far, Joey. We got to see what they've got to say here for the Medial Mayhem. Let's go ahead and start it out with the first one, which is from our buddy Ike. Ike says, episode 65. Ike is hyped up, ready to go. And with that, so I don't give myself a heart attack, I'm going to go ahead and play this clip for Ike.
Ike doesn't give a fuck. Fuck.
I love that name, Ike. Thank you for showing up back up for this show and for your comment. We appreciate it. With that being said, let's go ahead and take it to the next one. What's up, D. Willie and Joseph? He says. Melvin's here as well. Says, yo, fellas. Says, let's go. Joey all GQ with the jacket. Joseph is GQ with the holiday jackets. Got the candy canes up top as well. Definitely very festive, unlike myself. That's why I just made the graphics as festive as I could. Spot on, Melvin. GQ is the right description. Laughing my father an ass off. Outwince is garbage, says Ricky Ricky. Welcome back, Rick. Thank you for being here for the show. It's been a while since Rick's been here. So thank you for the comment and for watching there. We greatly appreciate it. Rick's a big supporter of the LegacyMaker Sports Network and is probably checking that out on either my personal page or on LegacyMaker's channel. So thank you for your support, Rick. We greatly appreciate it. Rick comes back with Watson should be benched because he's a Browns fan. So do you agree with that? Let's go ahead and turn this into an in or out. Do you think that Watson should be benched?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know that I've done. I have not watched a lot of Browns games this year, and I don't know that I could make that decision on whether Watson should be benched or not without doing a little bit more research. I will say this: the heckling of Watson is awesome, and I think it should keep going. And so for that, without any context whatsoever to how he's playing, I kind of don't want him to be benched because I want to continue to hear heckling.
So Joey's out then.
But that's also without any context. I don't know his stats at all this year, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I mean, for that, I mean, Rick, and I've seen his play too since he's come back. He's looked god awful. I mean, not as bad as Russell Wilson. He's playing a little bit better than Russell Wilson, in all honesty, from what I'm comparing the two between the entire season. Watson's only been back since like week 11, week 12, I think. So it's only been a few weeks you've had him back, and for that, I'm going to be out on that as well. Based on his performance, I kind of see why you're saying that, Rick, because your backup Jacoby Brissett played a lot better throughout those games and actually had the Browns into somewhat the playoff race leading up to when Watson came in. And people were expecting Watson to come back and to take it off at that point and to carry this team into a potential playoff berth. With what you're paying him, you definitely should. This year, you're not paying him so much because of the way the contract was structured. But starting next year, you're going to need to see what you got with what you're paying him. So I feel like keeping him in there, unless the game's just out of hand to where you don't want to risk getting him hurt, like we were talking about earlier with Taylor Heineke, I feel like you've got to keep him in to see what you got going into next year, because this year's already pretty much a wash for you. There's no hope for you for the playoffs. But I feel like you should keep him in to get more reps with the first team, get more of a momentum going to the offseason, and see what you got next year, because you're paying him an awful lot of money. It's going to be a situation like Russell Wilson where you're just obviously screwed. But they fired Nathaniel Hackett today because of what they've been doing in Denver. So who knows? The Browns might be firing their head coach soon, and it's going to be the carousel of Browns coaches in Cleveland continues.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this much. In similar fashion, I said kind of the same thing about the Hokies and Grant Wells. It gets to a point where if your season's already a loss, let them play and develop and continue to hopefully get better. You hope that he gets better. And Watson had to not play for a really, really long time. It's going to take him a minute to get back up to game speed. And the only way to get back up to game speed is to play in football games. I did watch Jacoby Brissett play, and he was good. He was really good. I watched several Browns games with him playing. But I just don't know that you take Watson out if your season's already at a loss. I think you let him keep playing, let him keep developing, and if he gets better, great. If he doesn't, then you reassess next season.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see how that goes down with that team. And Rick has some more comments. Go ahead and go to the next one. CFL for Wentz, he says.
I don't know that Wentz is that bad. You're telling me that there is not – I mean, I would say you've probably got like 8 teams that have a really solid quarterback. Like you're telling me that there's not a team in the NFL, not one, that Carson Wentz couldn't play for? I highly disagree with that.
Rick, because I am a fan of the commies, formerly known as the REDSKINS, I agree with you. A pure, simple reason that I want to get him out of Washington. And if that's what it takes to get him out of Washington, we can trade him to another league, which I don't see that happening. I think we just have to release him and he'd have to sign with the CFL. But if we could work out a trade for some advertisement or something, one way or another, for the commies or some cash, get him out, send him to the CFL. I agree with you, Rick. CFL for Wentz. With that being said, let's go ahead and see what we got next up. Darrell's here, says...
Yo, Darrell.
Darrell's here, says, Drew and Joey have a great show. Thank you, brother. We appreciate that. Then says, Correa ain't worth the money, but to be honest, most of the money baseball players make is not worth it. So
baseball money hit different.
Yeah, I agree with that. We both do. A shout out to the head legacy maker there, Darrell Owens, for stopping by with that. We definitely appreciate it. Wild Paint Art says, I want to offer a promotion for your channel, viewers, followers, views, chat bots. The price is lower than any competitor. The quality is guaranteed to be the best. Auto on, incredibly flexible and convenient order management panel. Everything is in your hands. Turn it on, off, customize. Go to dogehype.com. How about this? No thanks. We appreciate it, though.
That's hilarious.
So I wanted to give a read with that right quick. Rick says D.O., as he was hyped to see D.O. in the comments as well. Carlos Correa will have the worst contract with all said and done. When all is said and done, I guess is what he said. 3 times Oakland's payroll is what he's getting paid pretty much from what
I think that was when we were talking about the Mets.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the luxury tax is 3 times Oakland's payroll, which is insane. That's literally insane. That should not happen.
It is ridiculous how much anybody in sports gets paid when it comes to these highly touted players. Can they beat a Big Ten team, Big Ten ACC challenge? What do you think?
Yes, Penn State and Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
They've done it twice.
Yeah, so he agrees. He's agreeing with that one. I don't care about baseball, says Ike. Come on, Ike. You're over there saying this right now.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Absolutely. Like you just threw a grenade and just blew up all over what we were talking about with round 2. Like, come on, man.
What?
Yeah, Stone Cold. I don't agree with that either. Like,
You're fired.
Sorry, we had to go off the rails a little bit, Ike, because you said you didn't like baseball. So, laughing emoji at Ike, says Melvin. Ike says Joey is a homer for Tech.
I'm not gonna agree or disagree. I'm gonna plead the 5th.
Well, I'll agree. I've called him out on that and this.
You can't handle the truth.
Come on, bro.
You're probably right.
Come on, bro. Come on, bro. While Joey in the back of his mind is saying this nonchalant.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, no, to the no, no.
And Ike is on the ready with the comments. I'm sure this is what he means by his comments as well.
I'll be back.
But we had to get a little bit of this action. Thank you there, Ike, for having my back with that one. Don't kick the baby, says Ryan McCarthy. Welcome, Ryan McCarthy from the No Credentials Required podcast. Also works with Snowman in the Morning as well. So I've done some collaborations with him. Just one mainly with Wise El Jefe's production, the Real Wise production of Stuck in My Mind podcast that me, Ryan, and Snowman did a few weeks ago to help Wise with the last minute call out that he had. So we had like a quad episode pretty much. We were talking about just life in general and some sports. So it was definitely fun. Shout out to Ryan for being here. I greatly appreciate that. And he has one more comment before we go to the next round. He says, you know you've made it when the bots invade your chat. Hey, man, we've made it somewhere. We made it somewhere. I don't know where that is yet. We're still trying to figure that out. But we've had a good amount of comments from you guys. We've had a good amount of viewership from this so far throughout all the platforms we've on. So thank you all for being here. I greatly appreciate it, as well as our team at LegacyMaker. Joey appreciates it as well. So definitely helps keep the fun going here on the episode. And speaking of fun, we got to keep it going throughout to the next round. Let's go ahead and take this into the round 4 with the by the numbers segment and see what we got to do with this one and see what we have to talk about.
Round 4.
And Joey here with round 4. Gary Zimmerman is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 65 in all of sports. With that being said, I know you did your homework. How do you feel about this one? Are you in or are you out on this one?
I'm out. Now, I did stick with the guard theme, though. I did. I actually went with right guard Jerry Kramer, who spent his entire career as a Green Bay Packer. And he threw one of the most insane blocks in NFL history, opening the absolute just widest hole for Bart Starr's game-winning quarterback sneak in the 1967 NFL championship game, a.k.a. the Ice Bowl. In 11 seasons, he was a 2-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time Pro Bowl selection, and 5-time first-team All-Pro. He was ranked number 1 in the NFL Network's list of top 10 players who have not been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Dude's a stud. That's who I'm rolling with.
Joey, I'm disappointed. You did your homework on the wrong number. Jerry Kramer was number 64, not 65.
Oh, no!
So with that, I've got to agree. I'm in. Joseph, that building of the new spot just took its toll on you a little bit, my man, because you got confused on the number, but it's okay. I'm not going to go too hard on you. In my opinion, you could have gone with either the offensive tackle, Gary Zimmerman, or Tom Mack, the offensive guard, because Tom Mack was an 11-time Pro Bowl. He had 176 career starts. But Gary Zimmerman was a legit badass. 7-time Pro Bowl, 3-time All-Pro. He won the first Super Bowl with the Broncos that John Elway won and then retired on that Super Bowl. If he would have stayed, he would have got back-to-back Super Bowls, but he ended up retiring after that one because he came in 1986 and had a great 12-year career. He had 184 career starts, played for the Vikings and the Broncos, had a pretty good lengthy career at a position back then that they took a lot more beatings at than today's game. Because today's game, even though the position that he played on the line, whether it's offense or defensive line, takes the most toll on you besides running backs and stuff, the game is a lot more pussified now than it used to be at one point. So when you think about that and his contribution to the teams that he played on, he, with him being with the LA Express from 84 to 85, he was one of those first ones that went to the USFL and played those first 2 years, kind of like Steve Young did. And Jim, from the Jim, what's his name? The Buffalo Bills quarterback. He's still Buffalo. Jim Kelly was who I'm talking about. He played in USFL. So he's part of those players that started off in the USFL, came into the NFL in 86 when they folded the USFL, and then had a big impact for the Vikings for a little bit from 86 to 92 for 7 good seasons. And his last 5 seasons played in Denver and capped it off with the Super Bowl. So even though Jerry Kramer had a great career and you would have fit in great with last week's episode, I got to give you a little bit of call out on that, Joey. He wore 64.
No, that's all good. Yeah, my life has been hectic with Christmas, and I guess I just didn't think about it, and I just put in 64, said 65. It's all good.
It's all good, man. Yeah, man, it's all good, man. Like I'm not. That's why I didn't go too hard on you. With that being said, let's go and take this to another round. Let's take this to the bonus round that we have for this episode, and we have that on another NFL team to discuss. Let's go ahead and see what we got to say about that.
Surprise, motherfucker.
And that surprise is this. And James Brown of the LegacyMaker Sports Network definitely appreciates us talking about this. He's an Atlanta Falcons fan. The Atlanta Falcons should make every effort possible to upgrade at quarterback this offseason. How do you feel about this one, Joey? Do you agree with the statement, or are you disagreeing? Are you out?
So here's the thing. You worded this one in a way that I swear you were trying to trick me. But I'm going to go with out. All right, and here's the thing. The Falcons traded Matt Ryan for a reason. They wanted to move on and get a quarterback for the future. They have found that quarterback, or so they think, in Desmond Ridder, who I might add had a really good preseason. And then not only did he have a really good preseason, then after that, they decided to sit him behind Marcus Mariota, who is not bad. I mean, he's not. He's had a pretty good stat line, but they've only played 2 games with Desmond Ridder, and honestly, he needs more time. Like we were talking about with Watson, you can't just go in and play a system and play 2 games and get to a point where you are all of a sudden the best starter in the world. You just can't. It doesn't work that way. You have to continue to develop in that system. You have to keep playing plays. You have to keep learning. You have to understand what you're trying to look for in a defense. And I don't think that they have given Desmond Ridder enough time to truly develop into that quarterback. Everybody in today's society is all about instant gratification, and they need it right now. I think that the Falcons would not have drafted him if they didn't think that he was capable of running this offense. I think that he just needs time to be able to develop into this offense. He's played 2 games. 2. I think we need to take a step back, take a deep breath, and let him play. Reassess next season. Let him start next season from the beginning of the season and go from there. I think that if they go out and instead of spending every ounce trying to get a quarterback, if they go out and they get some offensive line pieces, they get a guy to go into the slot, they get a guy to go into the outside, they get maybe a tight end who is a better blocking tight end than a receiving tight end, but who might still be able to catch a pass here and there. Because you're not going to get a guy like Gronk really who could do both. But if you find those pieces that can provide him extra protection, because he doesn't have a lot of time to read the plays. With rookies, you've got to give them as much time as possible, because it's not like they immediately know what they're looking for. Just take a step back, Falcons fans. Take a deep breath. Let the man play. Let him learn. But they need to spend more time on that offensive line and that wide receiving core than they do anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up some good points with that. I just got when I really put this into perspective, I got to think about this as well, and I got to actually disagree with you. You bring up a lot of great points, Joey, and there's some parts of me that actually wants to go with this as well. But when I think about the free agents that are going to be available for this offseason, it's not going to be a lot of big names are going to come to Atlanta without them upgrading the offensive line and the tight end position, like you were saying. So they've got to start there, but they can bring in a veteran who they don't have to pay as much that can still fill in and still help develop Desmond Ridder, because I don't feel like they should be starting him and throwing him to the Wolves again next year until they rebuild this team a little bit more. So when you think about the ones who are available this offseason, of course, Tom Brady's going to be a free agent, but he's not going to go to Atlanta. Baker Mayfield's probably going to stay in LA and back up Stafford and learn some more behind a really good team. It just needs to get a little bit more stability in there because they lost some pieces during this last offseason. They got to build that offensive line a little bit better and a little bit more moves on the defense as well. Sam Darnold will be a free agent. Jimmy Garoppolo, who will most likely be out of San Francisco. because there's a lot of rumors talking about TB12 going to San Francisco this offseason, so that's possible. Teddy Bridgewater will be a free agent. Daniel Jones will be a free agent, but he'll probably stay in New York now that he's played pretty decent this year. Case Keenum will be a pretty good backup to bring in that can kind of help develop Desmond Ridder, at least through the first half of the season, and do that to kind of build him up. But another big one that if they let him go out of Cleveland, who played very well this season to start off the first 10 games or so until Deshaun Watson came in, would be Jacoby Brissett. And you could get him for pretty cheap for probably under $5 million a year. Geno Smith's probably going to stay in Seattle. Joe Flacco, trash. Don't get him. Andy Dalton will be an okay backup, but I don't feel like he would be able to provide enough to teach Desmond Ridder. I feel like the best moves will either be with Jimmy G if they can get him, or not Teddy Bridgewater maybe, but the biggest one I would like here would be Jacoby Brissett because of what he learned in his time in New England, and also did pretty well in Indianapolis. When Andrew Luck went down, just the team around him wasn't all that great, which is why he had the problems that he had.
I feel like Jacoby Brissett gets kind of crapped on a lot, and I don't know why, because everywhere that he's played, he's been at least good. Mm-hmm. He's not elite, and he's not like a guy who's going to really blow you out of the water, but he's not a bad quarterback. I mean, his stats are really solid. And if you're looking for an interim quarterback, he's a really solid option. But I do still believe that because here's my thing is you've already got kind of that middleman guy in Mariota. Why would you go out and get another middleman guy? If you're going to do it, go full tilt and go get a starter like Jimmy G and roll out the red carpet and really try to get a guy in there who can play. Otherwise, start the rookie and let him play. There's only one way he's going to learn: trial by fire.
Yeah, but you also don't want to throw him in the wolves where he gets hurt and potentially hurt his career going forward. We don't need to see an RG3 situation because that would be very, very bad for the team if that happened, because he's only 22 years old and has a pretty good future. Marcus Mariota only signed a 2-year deal, so from what it looks like, he got a $5 million signing bonus, $6,750,000 guaranteed, and an average annual salary of $9 million. So it's still an affordable contract to be without. I don't think they're going to trade him. I think they just have to outright cut him. But if you really want to make some moves going into the next season, and Marcus Mariota has embarrassed this team when he's played at a lot of points throughout the season, you do need to make a move there to get him out of there. But I feel like you should be able to get a better veteran in there that can prepare Desmond Ridder for the future better than what Marcus Mariota can do, because Marcus Mariota didn't help propel Ryan Tannehill to the things that he did when he first took over as quarterback in Tennessee. He was kind of like moping in the background, didn't really contribute anything towards the success of that team when Vrabel took over as head coach.
Right. Although I will say he still does own the only pass and reception by the same person in the same game. He is the only quarterback who has ever done that in the history of the NFL, where he threw it, it got deflected, he caught it and ran it in for a touchdown. He's the only quarterback who has ever done that in the history of the NFL, which is still a pretty cool and crazy stat.
Joseph, that was crazy, and it was very terrible, like Charles Barkley said.
That's terrible.
It was luck. It was luck, Joey. Come on, man.
Oh, it was. It was absolutely luck, but it was still a fun stat and a fun play to watch.
Know that if Jacoby Brissett came in to be combating with Marcus Mariota for the starting job, he would be coming at him like this.
You may claim to be the best in the world, but I'm better than you. And you know it.
Facts, brother. Because you aren't going here.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
And in the midst of all this, owner Arthur Blank is saying this.
Would you please shut the hell up?
Because they aren't.
That's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
Who we thought they were. to finish my sentence before I clicked the button a little bit too fast. So when you put it all in perspective, I feel like they do need to make some moves this offseason, not get like a top tier quarterback or anybody, but journeyman. I wish Ryan Fitzpatrick was available because he'd be perfect to go to Atlanta while they build the rest of the team around him. Maybe not at the current age because he's already retired. He had that hip injury with Washington last year, but prior to that, and this was the state of the team, and if they're going to be spending less money on a quarterback, more on the offensive line and the weapons around him, I feel like he would be a good person to bring in to teach Desmond Ridder how to be a quarterback in the NFL.
Fun fact about Ryan Fitzpatrick, if you had one Ryan Fitzpatrick for every team that Ryan Fitzpatrick played for, you could have an entire offense.
Yeah, you could. You really could because there's 11 players on the starting line, or 11 players on offense. He's definitely been the journeyman around the NFL, and definitely was probably of all the journeyman quarterbacks, probably one of the best. And we could probably debate that one day. Is Ryan Fitzpatrick the best, journeyman quarterback in the NFL of history? And I'm sure that a lot of people would agree with that. And there's going to be some disagreements, but it'll be an interesting topic to bring up. We'll have to bring that up during the offseason when we're thinking of things to kind of float for some time and stuff like that. But speaking of time, we got one more topic to go to. But before that, I want to show you another promo for a show that I might have starting up next month for you professional wrestling fans.
LegacyMaker, the All Sports Network, presents a SIRTOBA media production where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Acknowledge me. You should know your role and shut your mouth!
That's right, you guys. The Kayfabe Express will be coming to you in January, and I'll be announcing the date for that after the new year for a wrestling show for you professional wrestling fans of the WWE, AEW, and even the independents, as I'll have some independent wrestlers on here that I'm scheduling up currently to be on here for the first few episodes with me. So with that, it's going to be an exciting one, but this right here is my baby, the In or Out Sports Debate. I will continue this as much as possible. As you'll see when we've announced earlier that we have the New Year's Eve edition this Saturday at 3:00 p.m. Eastern, 2:00 p.m. Central. Looking forward to that. But right now, looking forward to continuing on with my guy here as we go into the final round of this show. Let's see what we got lined up for this last topic.
Final round.
And Joey really loved this graphic right here. We were talking about this in the green room right here. And that is the NFL should evaluate their scheduling process for the night games as a result of the lackluster performances this season. And with that topic being said there, Joey, how do you feel about this one? Are you in or are you out on this one?
Bro, I am I don't know that I could be more in on a topic in my life. Like, I understand that the NFL is trying to expand their reach by allowing more teams to play in prime time, because it was a problem before when, the Patriots and Tom Brady were seemingly playing every single primetime game ever. However, the fact of the matter is these games are getting ridiculous. The fact that a touchdown did not get scored until the fourth quarter is insane. I watch football, baseball, hockey. I watch sports all the time. And I don't really get bored. I don't but I fell asleep watching last night's game. Like, literally was so bored that I fell asleep. Like, one of the most sports enthusiastic people that you will ever meet, where in my house there is a TV with some sport on at all times. Like, I eat, breathe, sleep, like whatever, we'll be watching, and I fell asleep last night because of how bored I was. Field goal after field goal after field goal. Like, no one wants to see field goals. Like, I'm so sick and tired of it. Like, I get it. Like, it's an important part of the game, and I don't think that they should get rid of it. But when you're doing nothing but field goals, it's hard not to get bored. It's hard not to be enthusiastic about the NFL when no one is freaking scoring. It's the same problem I have with baseball. That's why I love the new rules that they're introducing with baseball, because it encourages more offense. Like, I could not stand it last night when we're sitting here and just watching nothing. Like, they're going back and forth, 4 and out, 4 and out, 4 and out, 4 and out. Like, they score 3 points a quarter. Like, it's not fun. They need to, if they are going to do primetime games like this, which I get it, like, you know, the TV contracts bring in big money. I get that. And so if you're going to do it, that's fine. I'm okay with primetime games. I'm okay with having Sunday night football, Monday night football. I get it. But you have got to put a more competitive set of teams in those games. Like, you know, the Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes type games where it's going to go back and forth. They're going to score a ton of points and it's going to go down to the wire. Like, those are the kinds of games I want to watch. I don't want to watch field goal after field goal after field goal. Like, it was so mind numbing. It was ridiculous. I love the idea of primetime games. I just need them to put a better product on the field. This is not the way to spread the NFL into younger minds and to younger audiences. It's boring. Put better products on the field, and like that will enhance what goes on in, trying to expand the reach of the NFL. Not that many field goals and then not scoring a touchdown to the fourth quarter. Like, that was insane. That was literally insane.
It definitely was. I mean, it was a very boring game until we actually got to the overtime part, but still, you watch an entire game before you get to that. And before I give my take on that, I want to give a shout out to Ryan McCarthy for his last comment that we'll get to in the final comments. But the WrestleMania comment was epic, and I'll get to that when we get to the comments here section next. But with that being said, with the final round with this, I've got to agree with Joey on this. I'm in on this as well. For similar and different reasons a little bit. When you really think about this in a nutshell, when they scheduled this, January 2nd, when it comes to the Monday Night Football matchup next week, we got the Buffalo Bills and Cincinnati Bengals. I don't think that's going to be really all that great of a matchup. And then tonight we got LA Chargers, Indianapolis Colts, which would be a snoozer. That's why I decided to do this show as we are have a football game, because it's not going to be that big of a game to watch tonight. So when you think about that, the only one that's open right now is January 8th to be determined. And I feel that's going to be Washington and Dallas, because that's going to probably be with the best matchup to watch on that day, because their game time is still to be determined based on how things go this weekend with their opponents this weekend. So, but when you look back on it, you had Tampa Bay and Arizona, which was horrible when you think about the performance of one
Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II,
because he was horrible throughout the majority of that game until the last 6 minutes of the game, when he led them to tying the game against the Cardinals. And then they went to overtime. And then the 14th comeback in overtime history for Tom Brady happened last night. And, for fans of the one
Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II,
I guess they loved it. But to me, it kind of for people who say the NFL is rigged because of sports betting, it kind of looks like that's a little bit true, because throughout the game it was horrible. They kept it close, throughout certain spots where you can look at different apps like DraftKings and FanDuel, and now they got a new one called Prize Picks. There's so many different ones now, but you can look at them and see the average picks for each one. And when you see that they think that Tom Brady is going to have 100 yards in the first half or something, and he only throws for 88, it's to me it seems like that it's a little bit more than what the defense is making the impact on him, because there's been games this year where he's thrown for 300 plus yards, and there's been games where he's thrown for 180. It's been ridiculous, the inconsistencies within him. And I don't think it's all his age, which some people in the media, like myself, have tried to say at some points, which I may be wrong in that aspect when I review what I've said during the offseason in football. But when I think about what Tom Brady has contributed towards his team, he hasn't been that bad this year, but certain aspects really look fishy when You play the way that you do. It's tied 6-6 going into halftime, and then you finally tie it up again at the end of the fourth quarter, and you go into the overtime, and then you mysteriously win again. So when I think about one
Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II.
Sorry, I got too excited. Clicked the wrong button at first. But when you think about what he has done this year and what he's done in the years leading up to this, it's just a little bit fishy to me on how this game transpired last night. And with that being said, I have to agree. They need to do a better job of selecting these night games. And maybe instead of the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season, they do like the last 6 weeks of the season where they change up who's going to play at nighttime on Sunday and Monday to keep it a little bit more interesting, because I guarantee you on Mondays, there's a lot more viewership of Monday Night Raw for WWE than there is for football in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I just, it's one of those things where, like, I mean, I hadn't even thought about the whole sports betting thing, like, because I always just kind of like shrug it off and I'm just like, nah, there's no way. But like, now that you mention it, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if Tom Brady plays even a third of what Tom Brady normally plays at, he still wins that game by like, 3-4 touchdowns. Like, I mean, I know that you don't love Tom Brady, but at the same time, you have to admit that he plays at an elite level that has just not been consistent this year. Like there might be something going on, but I mean, that is just pure speculation. But I mean, it's just, it doesn't seem like the NFL this year just hasn't seemed like normal NFL. I mean, they're making some calls on pass interference that are like blatantly, obviously not pass interference. And then there's others that they just completely miss, that, the quarterback gets hit, 10 seconds after throwing the football and nothing happens. So I don't know. The NFL has been really hard to watch this year just because it's been so inconsistent between how the quarterback play has been, how the refs are calling the games. I mean, just it's been really hard to watch this year, like really hard to watch.
It really has been. When I can at least acknowledge what you said in that start off that last statement, and I do not give love for one
Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II.
But I respect
Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II.
A 7-time Super Bowl champion. He's definitely, others would disagree with me. I'll acknowledge him as the GOAT. Snowman and I will get in a heated debate of this because he loves Joe Montana, as they call him in the Water Boy. And I will continue to call him Joe Montana as Tom Brady has succeeded him, is past him now on the leaderboards of so many great statistics. He's played longer. The game is a lot more pussified now, but he has had a lot more longevity. And I don't think that if this would have happened during Joe Montana's career, if he would have started when Tom Brady did, I don't think that he would have had as much success as Tom Brady did, especially on that 49er team with the coaching that they had. So it's a wide debate. It's kind of like LeBron and MJ in the NBA, but time will tell with one
Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II.
If he retires at the end of this year or not. Let's see what you guys think with the comments here in a second. But with that, before we go to that, we got to acknowledge something, and that is the Vault of Fame again.
Acknowledge me.
That's right. With the Vault of Fame, Joey is now a 10-time Vault of Fame inductee, and he's been on 10 episodes this year. With that being said, this is the Vault of Fame leaderboard. Rob Johnson at the top with 12 appearances. Joey Raymond with 10. James Brown, who recently moved up to 4 to third place. Cody Stewart and Darrell Owens, Corey Mann, Michael Bish, and P. Alexander Wiley tied for 4th with 3 appearances. And 11 panelists tied at 2 appearances this year. So that's been a great year here for the In or Out Sports Debate, as we have now done 60 episodes, 59 of them live in the year of 2022, with one left this Saturday for New Year's Eve edition of the In or Out Sports Debate. With that, we have up next that one I was telling you about, the New Year's Eve edition on Saturday at 3:05 p.m. Eastern Time, 2:05 p.m. Central Time. You can check that out here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Twitch, as well as the LegacyMakerSports.com for all the latest in the world of sports. In or Out Sports Debate is also on its own Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Twitch platforms, as well as the audio platforms on Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Prime, Anchor.fm, and you can download them individually on iTunes. SIRTOBA Media is the video production company that we are running off of, and that is Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter's handles right there, as well as the coming soon YouTube channel, and SIRTOBA.com, where you can check out the latest and what I've done for the video productions there. Snowman in the Morning, the Snowman himself and I do the Mondays at 1:05 p.m. Eastern of the Sports Sensei Unleashed. You can check out on Sports Radio Network of the SDM Sports Radio Network, as well as Snowman Multimedia and the re-syndication of those episodes on LegacyMakerSports.com. If you want to throw a donation to the guy that's running this show right here, myself, throw some D Willie bucks is what Darrell called him. Actually, he calls them Willie bucks. But if you want to throw me some on the Cash App, there it is right there. $ D Willie 87 for the Cash App if you want to throw it there. But also, we are here for episode 65. Myself and Joey Raymond are here as we are getting towards the end of the show. We have a few more things left to do, and that is to start it off. We have to acknowledge the comments from the fans before we take it anywhere further. Let's see what they got to say for the Mayhem culmination. And Joseph, we got some more comments ahead of us right here, and let's see where we left off at. Man, we got a lot of comments actually.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, he said the bots was the last one. So the Wonder Bread Choir with their rendition of "Don't Call Me a Homer," talking about that comment where you were getting called a homer from Ike for your picks with Virginia Tech, says Ryan. Ryan says Eric Carlson, defensive-man for the San Jose Sharks.
What a great pick.
Yeah, that is a good pick. 166 goals, 540 assists in his career. That should have I should have probably thrown that in there as well for someone who wore that number. So definitely a great pick, Ryan, for that number 65 by the number segment. Warren Moon, USFL, says Rick, because we were talking about USFL for a minute. So thank you for the shout to Warren Moon, who was definitely great in the USFL. No, I thought he was CFL. I thought Warren Moon was CFL. Let me look that up. You know what, Rick? Right quick, let me look that up because I'm actually interested in that one. Let's see what it says. Warren Moon played in the CFL, and then he came to the Houston Oilers. So, no, you were actually incorrect with that, Rick. He played for the Edmonton Eskimos for his first 6 seasons from 1978 to 1983. Then went to the Houston Oilers, Minnesota Vikings, Seattle Seahawks, and finished up with the Kansas City Chiefs as a backup in 99-2000. So, Rick, I'm sorry. You are wrong with that, my man. Ike says, I get kicked a lot, Ryan, with the laughing emoji. So, because he said before we went to, in the last of the comments, said, don't kick the baby, said Ryan. That's a part from South Park. So thank you, Ryan, for bringing up a South Park token, a memento for Ike with that picture right there. Good to see you, sir, says Ike doesn't give a fuck in the house. Okay. Ryan, spot on with the bot, says Melvin Turismo. That long thing that I read out earlier. Thanks at Ike doesn't give a fuck. I'll try not to ask you to do an impersonation of David Caruso's career. Spot on, Ryan. Spot on. I'm up for the challenge, brother, says Ike doesn't give a fuck. Wow. Okay. Brissett needs to stay in Cleveland. Rick is the Cleveland Browns fan. Would definitely like to see him stay because you've had your most success in 2022 under Jacoby Brissett. Trevor Lawrence style. Okay. When I read that and I hear it, I think of Oppa Gundam style. Yeah, that's what I think of when I read that. So yeah, a little bit off from probably what Rick was saying, but I wish I would have had that clip to play when I read that because that would have been perfect. I might have to bring that for next episode.
You'll have to clip that for next time.
I might have to. Atlanta Washington trade for Mariota for Wentz. Hell no. Hell no. I mean, I don't want either one of them. No. At least, Carson Wentz is like the epitome of what Washington REDSKINS games used to be, where he keeps you in it, and then, you get your hopes let down at the end. So I would much rather just get rid of him, keep Heineke, bring a good veteran in behind him just in case he doesn't, make the entire season, whether it's injury or by bad play. But get Wentz out of there. It's time to stop wincing in Washington. So
ew.
Really look forward to this wrestling show. Been hyped up for a minute, says Melvin Turismo. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I have been hyping it up for a minute. It's time to get it going. And next month, we will definitely do our best to come up with the next exact date for that, Melvin. So thank you for the shout out for that. I watched the Sami Zayn Johnny Knoxville WrestleMania match before I went live tonight. I forgot how entertaining it was. It definitely was entertaining, and that's what I was talking about. This was the comment I was talking about from Ryan that was going to acknowledge, because that one was so hyped up in itself in that match. And people were thinking, what is Johnny Knoxville doing? He's like in his 50s. He's done all these jackass films. He's done all of these stunts. He's going to take one bump and then break his back or something. And he actually did a really great job in that WrestleMania match. It was entertaining. And it's definitely something I'm looking forward to watching again now that Ryan brings up. I'm going to go back on Peacock. Shout out to Peacock by NBC for providing the WrestleMania moments, as well as all of the live performance events from the past. And with that being said, let's go ahead and look at this from a wrestling clip that it was one of my favorite ones, and that is just someone named Ike Doesn't Give a Fuck.
You should know your role and shut your mouth.
Absolutely, Ike. I had to do it because you deserved it for some of your comments thus far in the show, and I'm sure you have some more that I'm going to want to say that for as well. So that's a precursor to what you're about to say that I'm about to read. Cut night games and international games, says Rick.
That's bold. That's never going to happen, though. TV money, there's so much money involved. It's never going to happen.
Absolutely. And it's too much money involved. There's too much people that get the chance to watch night games that don't have the opportunity to watch the day games. I just feel like they need to do a better job of selecting those games. The international games, they actually got pretty good this year. Those are pretty entertaining for the most part. And I do like of us expanding into other countries to put where we can potentially have maybe 34 or 36 teams one day and the other 4 being outside the country. I do like that. When it comes to the night games, though, and international cutting them, I'd have to disagree with that, Rick, and we both disagree on that. So with that being said, sorry, Rick, you get the outs again because we just don't agree with that one. It's going to be a lot for them to actually pull that off for that one. TB12 rigged another game, says Ike Doesn't Give a Fuck. How do you feel about that one, Joey?
Oh, man. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know which way is up and which way is down, which way is left and which way is right. I don't know. You got me going down conspiracy theory rabbit holes, Drew.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at this comment, I say this.
Damn!
Because Ike was definitely thinking this when he said this comment.
I'll be back.
And he definitely was back with that. And with the guys who actually play in the NFL, they're probably saying this to Ike right now.
Would you please shut the hell up?
Lastly, Stephen A. Smith is probably coming at you like this right now.
Stay off the weed.
Come on, Ike. Come on, Ike. You can do this. One day at a time, brother. That was an epic match, Ryan, talking about the WrestleMania match between Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn. It definitely was. So at least he came back with that a little bit better than this last comment. Maybe he's trying to recover some of that FTX money he lost, says for Tom Brady, because of how much he lost coming into this season and that bad stock move that he made.
Yeah, mic drop.
Absolutely. That's when we knew that this guy wasn't the greatest at making financial decisions.
Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II.
I had one more opportunity to do it. I had to do it. So that's why. Fact, says Ike. Ike agrees. Tom Brady goes to 49ers next season. Are you in or out on that, Joey? How do you feel about that one? It's a tough one.
It is his home. So I will give you that. However, his current home is in Tampa Bay. He's always had a home in Tampa Bay. Even when he played for the Patriots, he still had a home in Tampa Bay. So I think he stays with Tampa mainly because I think he's getting too old to move. I don't know that he really goes anywhere.
So Joey's out. If Tom Brady actually does decide to come back for an age 46 season, I don't see him going back to Tampa Bay because they would have to do a lot more building just for next season when they've already lost enough significant pieces when it comes to Antonio Brown, the way that he went. We can't say that didn't make an impact on this team because it did. Not to where they're at now, but between Gronk and some members of the offensive line, is definitely coming back to haunt him because we've seen Tom Brady scramble a lot more this season than we have in the past half decade. Now, if he was going to go anywhere, if they don't re-sign Jimmy G in San Francisco, and if they want to bring somebody in that'll help develop Trey Lance, but they're going to have to bring him in as a starter, I feel like he would go to San Francisco. So for that, I'm in. The only real place where Tom Brady can go and actually have a chance to win a Super Bowl, because you see what San Francisco's doing this year without a legitimate quarterback. They're still winning with a Mr. Irrelevant last pick quarterback in this past draft in Brock Purdy, which I was one that was writing them off when he went into the game, when he came in for Jimmy G, and it's been documented in our past episodes, as well as the Snowman in the Morning and the first couple since Sports Sensei's Unleashed episodes. But when I really think about it, if he is going to come back, and it's a big if, because the man's gone through a lot in this past offseason leading up to this season, plus during the season with the divorce and stuff. It really just depends on if he wants to keep on playing. And if he does, I don't think he's going to want to continue to play in Tampa Bay. His best chance, if he wants to keep playing, he's going to want to keep playing for the 8th Super Bowl. He's going to go to San Francisco, and I'm going to have to agree with that. Snowman doesn't want it, because Snowman's going to have to give up his Joe Montana, the best of all time, if Tom Brady comes to win Super Bowls in San Francisco for the first few years. But if Tom Brady wanted to extend his career by 3 more years and have a chance to three-peat going on the way out to have 10 Super Bowls, San Francisco is the best place for him to go.
Here's the funniest part about him going to San Francisco, right? So let's rewind to the Patriot days, right? When Jimmy G was his backup and Bill Belichick told Robert Kraft that, hey, like, maybe we should trade Tom Brady because Jimmy G is pretty daggum good and he could take Tom Brady's role, and I want to develop Jimmy G as my starting quarterback. And then Tom Brady got a little butt hurt and totally ruined the whole thing, got Jimmy G traded. How full circle crazy moment would it be if Jimmy G leaves and goes somewhere else, and then Tom Brady goes and replaces Jimmy G in San Francisco? Like, to me, that's crazy. Or for the fact of it, or just for the meme, what if he goes back to New England?
Yeah, but they need to put in a lot more work, because Bill Belichick isn't going to take it easy on him. Like, Bill Belichick needs to step down as GM first for Tom Brady to go back to there, because that way he would get paid a little bit better. But at the same time, like, I don't think he wants to go deal with the culture anymore. He loves Robert Kraft as an owner. He loved that part about it. But having to deal with Bill Belichick, I don't think he's going to want to do that. He's did it for 20 years. He's going to want to go somewhere where he's a little bit more respected, because he was treated as just another guy in New England for the most part of his career. When he's seen since he came to Tampa Bay that he's been treated like the GOAT, like he should be treated. And if he goes to San Francisco, they might not treat him like the GOAT, because they still feel like Joe Montana is the GOAT in San Francisco. And he's not going to win 4 Super Bowls there, so he won't be able to break Joe Montana's record of 4 Super Bowls for the San Francisco 49ers. But he can, I feel like, at least contribute to one of them, if not 2, if he stays healthy, with that cucumber ice cream or whatever he likes to eat on the side or whatnot. So when I put all that in perspective, I feel like if he does come back next year, and it's a big if, because I've been saying that he should retire for like the past couple of weeks because the way he's been playing. If he wants to, like, at least go out with some dignity, retire at the end of this season. But if he does come back, I feel like there's a very good chance for him to go to San Francisco.
I feel like you're right. I really feel like you're right.
Brady on the take to make up for money lost due to divorce. Rick coming in with the jokes for that one. So I got to agree with that one with that. And with that, I got to give you some people laughing. Because FTX took his money and said that.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
What?
Oh, yeah, he did.
What?
Oh, yeah, they did.
What?
Because they said this on the way out.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Had to. Sorry, TB12. Had to. Good one, Rick. I had to give you acknowledgement there with those clips. And Rick says my bad because of my correction for him for the USFL and Warren Moon earlier. So thank you for the acknowledgement for that, Rick. And I acknowledge you saying my bad. And the last comment here before we go into the final word, Ryan McCarthy says, I bet Sammy had a blast doing that match. And I bet he did too, because Sammy's like around my age, like mid 30s or so. So when we were like teenagers back in the early 2000s, Jackass was huge. CKY was huge in the late 90s. But I got big into Jackass in the early 2000s on MTV. And, you know, when you see Johnny Knoxville and what he's done over the years and how he's evolved in the prank game, and now he's kind of taken it into the WWE and wrestling style, I got to give it my hat off to him. He did a great job at the stage of his career and the age that he's in this past year at WrestleMania. Will he do it again is the question. We'll have to see and maybe bring that up on another show at some point. But with that being said, guys, we've gone through 6 rounds, acknowledged both sets of comments. We've only got one thing left to do before we go to the outro, and that is go to the final word and see what we got to say for our final word on out the door. And Joseph, you know the rendition of what we do with this. If anything that we talked about in this show or just anything in sports in general, what's on your mind? Let's go ahead and lay it on out here for the final word, my man.
So I wanted to take my final word as kind of like a huge gratitude to you, because this is awesome. I love doing this. This year has been honestly, when you look back from, you know, full scope, which you know most people do at the end of the year, and they kind of recap what happened during the year. This year has been awesome. I have had a lot of highlights this year. I ended with a pretty big one, which is awesome. And you know, next year I'm hoping to start off, you know, getting some more of these under my belt, and you know, possibly going down some rabbit holes myself. But I want to get you a couple of really awesome guests and whatnot. So I'm gonna reach out to some of my connections, and we'll see what we can make happen. But it'll be a lot of fun. This year has been a lot of fun, and so I wanted to give a massive thank you to you, because you were a huge part of a lot of that. And this show is a huge part of a lot of that. And it's been a lot of fun to be able to do it, and to be able to kind of get a platform and really work with you. It's been a lot of fun, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. We've definitely had a great time on this show, and I really appreciate your appreciation for that. And with that being said, we do have one more comment I'll go ahead and acknowledge before we go further. Ike says, "You deserve it, Joey. You and D. Willie have a great chemistry here. Keep it up." Way to make up for your bad comments you've had in the show there, Ike. So I really appreciate that. And for that, I'll give you one last rendition of this there, Ike, because you deserve it. For what you just said, I got to acknowledge my guy, Ike, up in the comments.
Ike doesn't give a fuck. Fuck.
I got excited with the clip again, but
right.
Ike was spot on with that, Joey, because we do have great chemistry on here, and I love the mix-up between each episodes, like every other episode or whatnot. You coming on every other week because it keeps it fresh. Still keeps you in the mix, helps keep you growing as well. And I look forward to the things we got scheduled for 2023, because I'm not going to announce who yet, but it will be episode 70 that we will be having our first professional football player on here. And we will announce that here in the coming week or so for that. So, and that was because of Joey and his connection with him over there in Virginia Tech area. So thank you again, Joey, for that. I look forward to having that guy on here that we will be mentioning very, very soon. And I look forward to the banner back and forth with him talking football on that episode as well. For my final word, though, I'm going to also give some more acknowledgement, kind of like Joey did to him, and as well as the many, many panelists this year. This was supposed to be our final episode of the year, this episode 65. We'll be having episode 66 this upcoming Saturday, which will be a great episode to cap the year off with the kid NBA historian and Xander Anthony. And with that, I'll pull the graphic up again for the young man that'll be back on here for the second time this Saturday on the New Year's Eve edition. That's going to be a great episode that we're going to have here. His father, the Golden Boy Greg Anthony, was here for 2 episodes as well. So he'll be joining his dad as one of the, at that point, will be 12 panelists to be tied for the 5th place at 2 episodes apiece. So thank you, Xander, for making time for me again on New Year's Eve. Thank you to all of you. We've had over 30 panelists on this show this year. 60 episodes so far this year, 59 of them live. By the time we get to Saturday, it'll be 61 and 60 of them live for a great 2022 year. I could not do it without every single one of you that has made time for me. And I know you appreciate me making time for you and doing all the work that I do for it. But again, I cannot stress this enough. Without you guys coming here, I have nothing. It takes two people to debate a show. It does take myself to put in the majority of the work as far as creating the show, but bouncing the ideas back and forth between you guys, getting something that's comfortable with you to talk about, as well as for myself, and something we can have a great show with. We've got many episodes that are over an hour long, some like this that just hit an hour and a half. So we're making a lot of time on these airwaves, so where it gives me a lot of clips to put out. And I've had another thing I want to acknowledge too, that I've had some great success on TikTok. If I can find more time to make videos for it, we've had two little clips that are like a minute long go over 14 to 15,000 views. One of them went 14,000 views. The other one was like at 10 or something like that, 10 or 11. But still, great growth that we've had in 2022. When I started this show in 2020, we did 4 episodes. We did one in November of last year where we had 5 going into 2022. And it took me a little bit until about April to get it started. But from April on, except for 1 3-week break that I had in between, gone through 60 episodes to this point. So thank you, every single one of you. Joey, you've been a big contributor to that with your 10. So just as much as you appreciate me, I appreciate you as well, brother.
Yeah, this show is awesome. It's so much fun. I am really excited for the next one. If everything works out the way that it's supposed to be, I am stoked.
It definitely will. We could talk about, some times that he might have experienced this or been on the one who was giving this to the player.
Looks like Boucher knocked him out cold.
He might say it's unusual, but for me, when it comes to sports entertainment, it's not unusual like this.
It's not unusual to be lonely. It's not unusual to have fun with anyone. But when I see you,
I love that clip every single time.
Right.
I had to throw in there because it's not unusual for Carlton to do the Carlton dance. So with that being said, guys, we've gone through one great episode, this episode 65, and I think the fans would agree with this. Had to, my man. We both did it simultaneously. With that being said, I hope nobody comes to me and says this about, from the network. I hope they don't say this to me tomorrow. I think we carried it very, very well, my man. We did a great job. We had fun for episode 65, you guys. Thank you all for tuning in for this episode. As we take it on out the door here, thank you again, as always. Let's go ahead and carry this into one badass outro from my guy, Joey Raymond here. I'm Drew Willingham. Especially when it comes to New Year's Eve, stay safe out there in these streets. Don't forget, guys, you can check out the LegacyMaker Sports Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and the new TikTok channel, as well as LegacyMakerSports.com. You can check out the In or Out Sports Debate on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Twitch, and the audio platforms on Apple and Google Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Prime, Anchor.fm, and you can download them individually on iTunes. SIRTOBA Media will be found on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, coming soon to YouTube. And the latest will be available on SIRTOBA.com. Next Monday, the Sports Senseis Unleashed come back to the SDM Sports Radio Network. Monday, 1:05 p.m. Eastern, the Snowman and myself, D. Willie, will be back for that rendition of the Sports Senseis Unleashed, Episode 3. And if you could, as always, if you wouldn't mind, donate a little bit to the D. Willie 87 Cash App, $ D. Willie 87, if you have a chance to make a donation towards the production of this show. We are going out of here for episode 65. Thank you again for tuning in. Stay safe out there in these streets.